Hi everyone, it's Yana. I think that some of you might be interested in hearing what it was like being homeschooled. Chances are you've never met someone who was homeschooled. Most likely they're still hiding and afraid to go out in the world and beyond their own. Um, I think a lot of us will probably end up um, in codependent relationships just because that's the only way we feel we can survive and make it in this world. Um, have the drive and the will to do things differently though, and I'm hoping that I can. But I'll tell you a little bit about what it was like growing up being homeschooled. So we would wake up pretty early, around 6 a.m., me and my siblings, and we would start doing some homework, and then after a little while, we would either go to church or we would watch the Mass on TV on a Catholic TV channel called EWTN. And then after that, we would um, either come back home or turn the TV off, and we would go back to our homework. Then we would have lunch later, um, and we would get a little break. Then it was back to doing more homework, and then at 3 o'clock p.m. we would take a break and all go into the my parents' bedroom, and we would say some prayers. Um, and after that, we would go back to homework, and um, we could watch some TV only if we did exercise while we were watching it. It was the only way that we could watch TV during the school days, during the week. And then um, we would have dinner, and um, then later we would pray the rosary all together, which was not really a very good memory. Um, you would think it would be a very peaceful time, but that's usually whenever there was a lot of chaos, yelling, and like we were kids, so we would kind of fool around during the rosary, and our parents would yell at us during the prayers. So it wasn't a very peaceful experience. Um, and then after that, I think we would do more homework after that, and then we would go to bed, and then it would start all over again the next day. So that was a typical day in my family being homeschooled, and it was kind of like being in prison. Um, we stayed in the house a lot. Um, we would go on vacations every now and then, but for the most part, we would stay home, or we would go to church. Um, Sometimes, like on on Saturdays, sometimes we would go to the store with our parents. Um, so that was kind of what it was like being homeschooled. Um, it was a very lonely experience, and I would never wish it on my worst enemy. It's like being living in isolation, completely cut off from the rest of the world, and you grow up with your own kind of culture. I don't even feel like I was raised in this country, because the way that we thought and did things is actually completely different than how most people um, do things in America. That's why I'm misunderstood a lot, and um, but it's okay. You know, I have learned that some things you have to accept, and um, one thing that's difficult about having been homeschooled is that nobody can understand um, what it was like, and nobody can really relate to you. So I know like a lot of people meet and they have, a lot in common. Like they can talk about, um, what they did in school, what it was like. Um, but for the homeschooled person, um, you can't share experiences with other people because you both grew up completely differently. And so it's very lonely. Um, it's a very lonely experience. Um, and um, it's kind of, it's just something that you have to um, accept, I guess. And um, I don't know, like, I don't know if homeschooling would be what it would be like for someone who had, maybe who had um, a loving, normal family, and um, without the strict religious upbringing, and, like a homeschool child that, still does things like goes out and plays sports, um, learns an instrument, or anything like that. We didn't do anything, so um, my parents did everything for us, making um, phone calls if they needed to, ordering food for us. We didn't get practice doing anything, so that's why me and my siblings ended up having so much anxiety, like with everything, because we never experienced doing these things, and most people don't think about how important it is, and that they um, were able to experience having to do things for themselves a lot. Um, Something as simple as talking to someone yourself. Like I said, my parents did the talking for us. They did everything, and we didn't get any practice with anything. So that's what made life so hard once you grow up. Um, Sheltering your child is only gonna make things a lot harder for them when they grow up. Every little thing is going to feel like a massive struggle, and that's what it's like um, growing up in a homeschooled family like mine. So um, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience with homeschooling, and I'll see you next time. Bye.